What is up, everybody? Franchise Sports Podcast in the room. And today we are joined by Zach and Bray. And March Madness is the most exciting time of the sports year. Bunch of crazy endings, anyone's game, and just the excitement of your team in the tournament. Watching them compete like every day. It is just so much fun to watch. And even more fun than watching is filling out your bracket. And that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to share some tips. We're going to share who we think is going to win, some upsets, and much more. So stay tuned. Zach and Bray once again in the studio. Zach, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very good today and very excited for some good matches tomorrow. I'm hoping for some big upsets and just some good overall games.
Bray, what is up?
I'm doing good. I'm also excited for March Madness. Only comes once a year. This tournament's going to be very good.
Okay, without further ado, let's get into the matchups that make up this March. And we're going to start off with Miami versus Michigan State. Who do you guys got on this one? We're going to start with the 8 versus 9 seeds. Miami, Michigan State, first 8 versus 9, because these are one of the hard ones. It's a 50-50 to pick. Miami, Michigan State, Bray, who do you take? Who do you predict?
I'm going to have to go Miami. They do have some pretty good shooters. I'm not going to make this speech long just because it's just your predictions. They have some pretty good shooters. I'm going to go Miami.
Personally, I am going to have to take the Miami team, and this is disappointing to say, because this is a Michigan State team that was top 10 start of the year. Langford, Bridges, they were supposed to be so good, and they just disappointed, and it's sad to see this team get out 2 rounds in a row. Last year against Middle Tennessee when they were the second seed with Denzel Valentine, and now this year when they had this roster that was supposed to come in and be amazing, but they're not. Disappointing to say, but I have to take Miami on this one. What about you, Zach?
I'm also going to have to take Miami just because of their good guard play, and they've been hanging in there recently. And Michigan State has actually been doing pretty bad, so I just feel like you got to go with the hotter team in Miami.
I know Zach's pumped up about this matchup. Arkansas 8 versus Seton Hall 9. Zach, I'm going to have to let you start this one out.
I think you definitely got to go with the Hall on this one. Of course, led by Angel Delgado, the leading rebounder in the nation. They also do have Desi Rodriguez, who's a terrific guard. I just feel like you got to go Seton Hall, especially after that good fight that they put up against Villanova in the championship.
I'm also going to have to take Seton Hall in this one. Arkansas, watching them play in the SEC this year, very mediocre for an 8 seed. I'm not going to lie. They just got killed by Kentucky. I know Kentucky's one of the best teams in the nation, but for an 8 seed, that was very disappointing. I'm going to have to take Seton Hall in this one. As he said, their players are really stepping up this year. They're an exciting team to watch, and they hung in it with Villanova, so I think that makes them more than capable to be able to beat Arkansas. Bray, what do you think?
I'm also going to have to go Seton Hall. As you guys said, only lost by a few, staying in with Villanova, the number 1 seed. Villanova, very good team. If they can stick in with Villanova, they can go pretty far in this tournament.
Okay, moving on to the next matchup, Northwestern versus Vanderbilt. This is another one that's going to be anyone's game. All these 8 versus 9 seeds are, but they're the hardest to pick. They're one of the hardest to pick just because you can just pick whichever one. It's not like you have an advantage. So, going on to Northwestern versus this Vanderbilt team, I am going to have to take this Vanderbilt team just because they're terrific shooters. When you have a center that's been putting up 100 threes in a season, that's impressive. They're just a very good young team. They hang in it with teams. They've been beating Florida all year, another great team. You just got to take Vanderbilt on this one. Northwestern barely belongs in this tournament. They had that lucky play where they threw it all the way down the other side of the court and no one hit it out somehow. So I'm going to have to take this Vanderbilt team. What about you, Zach?
I'm also going to have to go with Vanderbilt. They have beaten Florida 3 times, of course. And I just feel like that they're better overall team. And they might be able to do some damage if they get a first win. What about you, Bry?
I'm also gonna have to agree with you guys on Vanderbilt. I mean, they did beat the number 4 seed Florida 3 times, as you guys said. I'm just gonna have to go Vanderbilt. I mean, Northwestern, they had that pretty lucky game-winning play, but I'm gonna have to go with Vanderbilt. Moving on to the next one, we have
Wisconsin versus Virginia Tech. This is going to be another one of those games, either way. I'm going to have to take Wisconsin just based on the experience in the tournament between their big three. I just love their team leaders. Obviously, it was a disappointing game against Michigan, but I think they can really bounce back and take this win.
I also do think Wisconsin, of course, led by Ethan Happ, and they do have Bronson Koenig and Nigel Hayes both returning. So I just feel like they're a better team than Virginia Tech, and maybe Wisconsin could have a good fight against Villanova, because Wisconsin is kind of like that team who had some tough losses, but I feel like they could play good against the better teams. They could put up a challenge. What about you, Bri?
I'm also gonna have to agree with Wisconsin. I mean, more experience. I mean, when they had Kaminsky, they went really far. I just have to go Wisconsin on this one.
Okay.
Moving on to the 12 versus 5s. These are the ones that you have to get right. And these are ones that happen every year. 12 seeds do get the job done. We're all going to share our favorite 12 versus 5 matchup. We're going to start with myself. And I think for most people, you got to take Middle Tennessee over Minnesota. Middle Tennessee is the favorite to win the game, and they're the 12 seed. That's ridiculous. I don't know who made these brackets, but how do you make a team the 12th seed and they're favored to win over the 5th seed? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me, and that's why I take the 12 seed Middle Tennessee over Minnesota. Zach, what's your favorite 12 versus 5?
I would have to agree with it. Obviously, Middle Tennessee. I think most people do have Middle Tennessee winning, and they're a very popular favorite. Middle Tennessee, of course, should be ranked, I think, a little better than 12. They had a tremendous season, so I feel like Middle Tennessee actually has a really good shot of winning.
Bray, what's your favorite 12 versus 5?
Probably gonna have to agree with the Middle Tennessee Minnesota match. It's gonna be a very good match. Middle Tennessee, actually not a bad team, and Minnesota, they're not really the best 5 team, but they're pretty good as well. I really think that Middle Tennessee can take them.
And now, is there any other matchups, 12 versus 5, that you guys would consider taking? Myself, I usually take 2 a year. But, yeah, is there any other 12 versus 5 that you guys look at and you guys say, I'm going to take the 12 in this one?
I'm going to say I'm not really feeling any others. I know some people do like UNC Wilmington over Virginia, but I feel like Virginia is
the best defensive team. I can't see people that would say that. They give up like 50-something points a game. Their defense is amazing. They don't score as much, but defense wins championships at the end of the day. The other 12 seed that I do like is Nevada over Iowa State. That's because Iowa State always loses in the tournaments. They lost early last year, I remember. They lost early a couple years ago. They're not a good tournament team, and I think I might take Nevada on another 12 versus 5. But is there any of the 12 versus 5s do you like or not?
Not really. I mean, the only one that we haven't mentioned was the Notre Dame-Princeton match. I mean, I think Notre Dame's probably going to take Princeton on that one.
Okay, now I'm going to go through some matchups. You guys are going to say upset or no upset. Number 13, Vermont against number 4, Purdue. Zach.
I'm going to say no upset just because Purdue, obviously, led by superstar Caleb Swanigan. So I feel like that he's just too good for that team. So they're going to win.
Right.
I'm also going to have to go no upset.
I'm going to have to say no on this one, too. Number 11, Rhode Island versus number 6, Creighton. Is there an upset on this one, Zach?
It's a tough one. I'm going to say no upset on this one as well. Just because Creighton, I mean, I feel like they're just too good of a team. So no upset.
Bray, what about you?
I'm also gonna have to go. No upset. Matt, how about you?
I'm going to have to take Rhode Island. They've been having great play before entering this tournament. I really like their chances against Creighton, a team that's been having a lot of struggles between Maurice Watson Jr. They've been having a lot of suspensions, injuries, and they're just not a complete team this year. Moving on to another one, Oregon. Are they an upset victim at the 3 seed, round 1, after losing their superstar player, Zach?
I'm going to say not an upset for the first round, but I'd watch out for the second and third rounds just because losing a good star like that, one of their best defensive players, it's going to hurt them a little bit. I don't think Dylan Brooks could lead the team by himself. So I feel like I'd watch out for an upset in the second or third round.
Bray, what about you?
I'm also gonna have to agree. They did lose their best guy, but they're versing a 14 team. I think that even without him, they should be able to beat him.
I'm going to take Oregon in this one, but I do think that they could be an upset victim early on in the tournament. Moving on. Oklahoma State, number 10, Michigan 7. Do you see an upset in this one, Zach?
I'm going to say, no, Michigan has been playing a very good game, obviously, after winning that championship. And I feel like I actually might take them in the second round as well. So I don't see an upset in this at all.
In the second round over Louisville?
Yeah, just because they've been playing very good basketball. They did just win the Big Ten championship. And Louisville hasn't been playing too superb lately.
Bray, what about you?
I'm gonna have to agree with Zach.
Over picking Michigan over Oklahoma State or over the Louisville?
Definitely not the Louisville, but yeah, I'm gonna have to go no upset.
You don't think that Michigan could beat Louisville?
I mean, it's impossible. On my bracket, I don't have them. I mean, Louisville, they're a very good team. I really just don't think that they're gonna be able to beat them.
Welcome to March, bro. I think Michigan's going to win this. I think they have a solid shot against Louisville. We're going to go a little further into that a little later in there. Moving on to some of the other key matchups. Number 4, Butler. Are they an upset victim, Zach?
I actually don't think that they're going to be an upset victim just because Butler, believe it or not, has actually been a very good team this past year, and I feel like they've been a little bit underrated. And a lot of people actually are taking an upset and aren't taking them that far. But I actually think Butler has a good opportunity at actually doing some damage and making it onto a couple rounds. And I actually do feel like they could beat UNC. So I don't think I take an upset in the first round.
Bray, Butler an upset victim, yes or no?
I'm gonna say no. I mean, Butler has lost to decent teams, but they're more on the bad side on that ratio. But I'm just gonna have to go no.
Okay, I'm gonna have to say no, just because Butler's a solid team. Obviously, handling Villanova all season, great against top 25 teams. I don't think they should have a problem against Winthrop. Instead of moving on to all the matchups and saying upset or not, we're gonna switch it up a little bit, and we're just gonna talk about the matchups that could be an upset. So, Zach, we're gonna start with you. Looking throughout your list, name me a matchup other than the 12 versus 5s, I guess, since we went over that you see a possibility of an upset the old pick.
I see a possibility at Florida Gulf Coast beating Florida State, just because Florida Gulf Coast, they are the 14th seed, but they did go 26-7 on the year, and they're just like one of those teams that upset. Like I remember a few years ago they had an upset, so I think I'm just gonna have to go with Florida Gulf Coast.
I'm gonna have to take Florida getting an upset to ETSU, and that's just due to ETSU's been playing amazing lately. Florida, I'm not too high on them this year. Yes, they beat Kentucky by a lot in Florida, but then again, Fox didn't play. one of the leaders on Kentucky, and they just didn't impress me then, because then they lost the next one, and then they just kept losing. And I see Florida as a possible upset victim. Bray, what's your upset in round one?
I mean, it's close to an upset, but I have to go Wichita State over Dayton.
Oh, we're talking major upsets right now.
Okay. Then I'm probably gonna have to go with Iona over Oregon, just because they did lose that key guy. I mean, the 14 seed, it's not the best seed. They have a possible chance of winning. And I think that they actually have a pretty solid chance. A lot of people probably aren't taking them. So they just like, 3 seed, it's probably going to be a definite win. But I think it's very close on this matchup. It's probably possibly like a 60-40, maybe 56-44 or something, but it's very close.
Okay, and now we're going to go all the way out of round one. There are obviously some more key matchups, but they're just too close to call on some of them. You're just going to have to make a pick. Moving on to round two. Is there any round two matchups that you guys see happening that a possible upset will occur then? We'll just go through some real quick. Do you see any of the number one seeds losing round two?
I don't see any of the number one seeds losing round two, just because I feel like this year's number one seeds are pretty good, and that's basically the only reason why. They're all pretty strong teams, and I just don't see them losing to a round two.
Bray, any number one seed's gonna lose round two or not?
Nah, probably not. Just because round two, I mean, they're number one seed for a reason. I think they should be able to take in the 8 or 9 team round two.
Okay, so I don't think any upset's going to happen that early for a 1 seed, but I don't know, maybe round 3 or so. Any number 2 seeds, we'll just keep going up, that you guys see a possible upset victim in the second round.
Yeah, I feel like Michigan has a chance of beating Louisville, just because Michigan has been so hot lately, and I feel like they surprised everyone by winning that Big Ten championship. So I feel like they do have a chance against Louisville.
I mean, yeah, they probably do have a chance. All the other number 2s, I mean, it'll be very close games, but I think the number 2s are going to take the second round.
Number 2 seeds, if I had to take one, I would probably have to agree Michigan over Louisville, just because after that blowout win over Wisconsin, that team has a lot of confidence right now. Louisville, they're a great team with Donovan Mitchell, but they struggle sometimes, and I see Michigan taking advantage of that. Moving on to the 3rd seed. Any 3 seeds you see getting by round 1, but possible upset victims in round 2. Anyone?
I feel like some 3 seeds can obviously lose. I mean, just looking at it, I guess you could say Maryland would get the win over Florida State if Florida State wins it. Of course, Maryland, I mean, they could be an upset victim in the first round, but if they do make it to the second round and play Florida State, I feel like that they do have a good shot, just because of Melo Trimble, Justin Jackson. So I feel like that they have a good shot.
I'm a huge fan of the SMU over Baylor. If Baylor does not get upset round 1, SMU over Baylor, 6 versus 3. SMU, an amazing year. I don't think it's going to stop anywhere too soon. Baylor, a team that has not been good in the tournaments lately throughout the years. And I just don't see the team that they have this year getting by SMU. Bray, any 3 seeds you see?
I mean, there's a possible loss with Oregon, just because they did have a costly loss. And against number 6 Creighton, I just don't think that they're going to be able to beat them. I mean, they'll probably beat the number 14 seed, but I mean, a number 6 seed, that's going to be very close.
And now, the number 4 seeds. I see a lot of these happening. To start, I do see like a team like Florida, if they get by round 1, they're going to lose round 2. Florida gets by round 1, I see them losing round 2. Any teams you guys see losing while I check your mind really quick?
I don't think that there are any teams that I really see losing
At the 4 seed?
at the 4 seed. Purdue, I know, is a little shaky, but I feel like that they should be able to win against Iowa State. That would be a really close game, though, so I feel like it could go either way.
I'm probably also going to have to say no. I mean, there's probably going to be a couple good games. Notre Dame, West Virginia, it's probably going to be pretty good. As Matt said, Florida, Virginia, it's probably going to be pretty good. Just a lot of very close games that you can call. Purdue, it's going to be a dagger. Minnesota, Butler, it's going to be close, but I think Butler is probably going to take that one.
I'm a huge fan of the 4 seeds losing. I like Notre Dame over West Virginia. I like Florida losing to, if they even make it, which I don't. There's just so much I think Butler's going to win. I think Purdue's going to win, but I'm not a fan. I'm a big fan of teams such as Florida, and like I said, I'm just not a big Florida fan this year. I think they had a great team a couple years ago, but that team's no longer what they used to be. And then West Virginia, I really like Notre Dame and Matt Farrell and Carlson, so I think they have a good shot of beating West Virginia. The 5 seed, anyone you guys see beating the 12 seed but then losing the next round? I'll start myself. If Iowa State's able to beat Nevada, I see them losing to Purdue the next round. I'm a huge fan of Caleb Swanigan, and I think he could really do that. Moving on to another one, I see Minnesota losing to Butler in the second round just because Butler's just a great tournament team, and Minnesota, if they could make it, I don't see a lot happening out of them. We're just going to do this all based on if the 5 seed makes it to round 2. Moving over to if Florida versus Virginia, I see Virginia winning. But then again, moving down to the West, a team like Notre Dame at 5, I do not see losing anytime soon. Great guard play, great big men play. That's a solid team. What about you guys? Any 5 seeds you guys see losing round 2?
I think I'm gonna have to agree with you on those. So nothing else for me.
Bray, what about you?
Yeah, me too. I have to agree with you guys. Very good prediction. Very good predictions. It's probably gonna go that way. Notre Dame, as you said, is a very good team. Minnesota is good, and I mean, I just really don't see it happening.
Okay, now we're going to go up really quick since we don't want to go through everything since we'll put our brackets online. Real quickly, who's your Final 4, Zach?
My Final 4 would be Duke, Kansas, Kentucky, and I think I'm going to have to go with Arizona.
My Final 4 is the exact same in Duke, Kansas, Kentucky, and Arizona. Bray, what about you?
I have Villanova, Arizona, Kansas, and UCLA.
Now we're going to move on real quickly. Your championship game, personally, I have Duke versus Kentucky. Zach?
I have Duke versus Kansas.
I have Villanova versus UCLA.
And real quick, who's your champion? Zach?
Kansas.
Bray?
UCLA.
And I said Kentucky. Now real quickly, we're going to talk about why you picked the team. Zach, why'd you take Kansas?
They have 3 great stars, Devontae Graham, Frank Mason, and Josh Jackson. Those are the only reasons I need. And also they do have Landon Lucas, so just to throw it in there.
Bray, you took Villanova?
No, I took UCLA to win it all. Just because, I mean, Ball, he's a very good player. They also have a lot of good add-ons. I just can see them winning it all.
I picked Kentucky, obviously being a little biased that they're my favorite team, but they got a team leader in Isaiah Briscoe, an amazing point guard out of De'Aaron Fox, one of the best shooting guards in the country out of Malik Monk, a top 3 offensive rebounder in Bam Adebayo, amazing bench play out of Willis, Mulder, and Hawkins. And if you put all the pieces together, I don't think there's any team that could beat them this year. So that is going to be a wrap for our March Madness podcast. Once again, you can check online for our brackets. Hope you enjoyed listening. Have fun filling out your bracket and enjoy the games.